Welcome back to Fireside Giants, a featured podcast by Empire Sports Media. I'm your host, Alexander Wilson, and my co-host, Anthony, the Great Rivardo. And today we bring to you a therapy session episode. After Sunday's loss to the Chicago Bears, week 2, we expected a lot better. Joe Judge said this week, a lot of teams that he's been with have taken the biggest step forward from week 1 to week 2. We did not see that in any sense of the word improvement. But to get started, before we kind of dive into everything and what we saw, Saquon Barkley, Sterling Shepard, the whole mess that we're in now, Anthony, how are you doing today?
Pain. All I know is pain. It's tough, man. This is really sad. These are really trying times as Giants fans. We've gone 0-2 the past 4 years. We haven't had a winning record since 2016, and before that, it hadn't been since that Super Bowl season. So it's been really tough, man. Giants fans have been through a lot through these years, and to watch, one of our star players, Saquon Barkley, go down with a season-ending injury is just really tough, especially knowing how hard of a worker he is and how great of a person he is off the field. It sucks to see that happen to him. He doesn't deserve that, and it's just tough, man. Like you said, we didn't see improvement from week 1 to 2 like we thought we would. And that's also disappointing. So it's really just been a painful start to the season, very disappointing. I do think there are some positives to draw from both of these 2 games that we've played, but for the most part, everything has been very painful and very negative.
Yeah, I just took a few tequila shots last night, and that's kind of how I treated this loss and the depressing news that we were bound to hear this morning. Honestly, I was just so taken aback. We saw him lock up his elbow, Saquon specifically, 2 plays before the knee injury occurred. And that injury, I was like, oh, crap, like that looks bad. And then two plays later, he tears his ACL. I feel so bad for him. And as a Giants fan in general, we've had a tough few years, man. New Yorkers, man, have had a tough few years, like with COVID, everything going on. We can't even enjoy our sports teams. If you're a Yankees fan, like you have some salvation, like they're at least a postseason team. Luckily, I am one, so I kind of get away with something there. But as a Knicks fan as well, he goes right back to square one. And then the Giants, I've talked to many people, and everybody says, 3 years is generally like the timetable you want for a rebuild, right? That's how long it takes. Like the NFL gives you as a young team. A young team and one that sucks generally, they give you a lot of slack. They give you high round draft picks. They give you so much schedule weekends, all these different factors, and the Giants just haven't been able to capitalize. At the very least, we're not the Jets, right? At the very least, right? Like that's one salvation, but at the same time, I'm sitting here like, I don't even care if we're the Giants or the Jets. We're both losing every week. Sundays are now a depressing day. I tweeted before. Do you remember when the Giants were a good football team, and you'd go outside, you throw the football around on a Sunday morning before, the game started, you'd have some breakfast, get your food ready, just really enjoy the process leading up to game day. Now, I don't care. I don't care to do any rituals or any fun things before the game, get excited for it, because I know 99% of the time we're going to lose. It's just not that fun to watch the Giants right now. I'll always be a Giants fan, and I'll watch every damn game because that's just the type of person I am, and I'm sure everyone listening is the same way. But they're pushing it, man. They're pushing the bounds of fandom for diehards, because it's like, as New Yorkers, we expect more. We're not Cleveland. We're not the Browns. We expect better, and we haven't been given better. Do you feel the same way? Because I feel like, I'm speaking for everyone here. We should be a better team at this point.
Of course I feel the same way, and it's interesting you bring up the Jets. At least we're not the Jets, right? But at the end of the day, both teams are 0-2, and both teams look like they're racing for the number 1 overall pick at this moment. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and say the Giants are going to for sure have a top 3 pick, because I've been saying it all offseason. It's going to be a struggle for the first few weeks. We've got a rookie head coach. The coronavirus offseason has been extremely hectic. I expected things to not really go that well to start the season. I thought there were going to be a lot of struggles. I thought that in week 1 we played really good, but the main thing that I was looking for was improvement in week 2. We played a weaker opponent, an easier defense, and definitely a worse offense, and it didn't look like we improved. We still lost. So that's where now I'm starting to question everything because I was very confident, week to week we would just see improvement, but it would be a struggle, But now I'm just not seeing that improvement, and we're still struggling and we're losing. But at least with the Jets, they're just a total mess. I don't know how Jets fans even have any hope, man. Like, Adam Gase is terrible. I knew from the moment he got hired there that was not going to work. It's just, at least, we still have Daniel Jones, and Joe Judge is who I wanted to touch on, because Joe Judge really has instilled a new culture into this team. And what I'm saying is, like, when I watched that game yesterday, after the first or second quarter, I thought it was just over. I
Oh
thought we
yeah.
were about to get blown out in the second half, because that's what I've grown accustomed to. Last year when we got down in a game, a lot of the times we got blown out, the team would just give up, and that was Pat Shermer's culture. That was
Hmm.
acceptable. But you know what? I got to give credit where credit's due. Under Joe Judge yesterday, it looked like it was over. It looked like it was ready. We were going to get blown out and we could lie down and quit. But the Giants didn't do that. The players fought really hard all the way until the very last play of the game, which I want to talk about in a little bit because I think there was a missed pass interference call. But I think that it is encouraging to just see these players not quit, not give up. They really want to win. They want to get better. They want to improve. And whether they're getting better and improving is debatable, but at least we're still seeing them put in a lot of effort. We're not seeing Janoris Jenkins alligator arm tackles in the fourth
Hmm.
quarter anymore. We don't have that. We've got James Bradbury balling out from start to finish despite the
Yep.
score, like whatever it is. I mean, he almost changed the game yesterday with his interception.
He
We
did change the
really,
game.
he did change the game because it totally switched the momentum. Same thing with Julian Love, like these players are competing, they're fighting hard for the full 60 minutes, which is different because it feels like it's been the full 40 minutes out of 60 in the past 2-3 years. So that is something, an encouraging thing that I can pull from yesterday's game. And Daniel Jones, man, I think he's got that clutch gene. I really thought he was going to clutch it out, but I just think the refs really missed a couple of calls at the end. So I want to talk about that in a second after you go.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it though. You really did. Pat Shermer compared to Joe Judge, not even you can't even put those two in the same sentence, really. What we saw yesterday in the first half of that game was embarrassing. And a lot of it was because of Daniel Jones's decisions, like double clutching the ball, not throwing it. I remember on the fumble, clear as day, Sterling Shepard running across the middle, wide open. That would have been a first down. He like literally goes to throw it and then like brings it back in, and then like kind of stands there and freaks out. I don't know what that was. I don't know why he did not get rid of the ball, but those are the type of things that separate good from great quarterbacks, or bad from good quarterbacks, rather. He needs to make those throws. He needs to be 100% committed to what he's going to do. He can't double clutch in the NFL. You can't do that. Your offensive line isn't going to give you 5, 6, 7 seconds to sit there in the pocket and work through every progression at the speed of a sloth. It's not possible in the NFL against good defensive lines. So I think Daniel Jones didn't do himself any favors in the first half. The running game actually looked like it was started off pretty strong with Saquon. He was averaging 7 yards per carry before his injury. Deion Lewis isn't a primary running back. He's a receiving back. That's where he excels. He's not a running back. They deactivated Wayne Gallman for that game, so they had no choice but to stick with Lewis. Trying to establish the run game with a really small back is never going to work. Never going to work. So that being said, the defense allowed 17 points right off the bat in the first half. Right, like immediately I think they scored 13 points or 10 points like in the first quarter, the first couple drives. In the second half, last year, we would have seen the Giants probably give up another 15, 20 points. It would have been like a
Mm-hmm.
complete blowout, 30-10 maybe. They didn't allow a single point in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Not only is that a testament to how well Patrick Graham coached them up and made in-game adjustments, but Joe Judge must have had them against the wall in the locker room during halftime. It we haven't seen a coach that's been able to make in-game adjustments in years, and they did it very, very well. Honestly, the offense just sputtered, and that was mainly because you lost your best player, which is already a huge blow. Like just confidence wise, your team now, your units like we just lost our best player. Like now what? Then you lose Sterling Shepard, who was reported today, Monday, turf toe. He's gonna miss at least 2 weeks, and I think at least 2 weeks. What a surprise! Sterling Shepard's missing more games. This is the constant narrative for the Giants. Guys, I mean, it's really not just the Giants, it's the whole league. Cortland Sutton, torn ACL. Nick Bosa, torn ACL. Jimmy G is out. There's so many guys around the NFL right now that are getting injured, probably because of lack of conditioning and no preseason. This is like what you mentioned before with the COVID, situation and everything. So looking at the Giants now, they have Golden Tate, Darius Slayton. I would love for them to sign Devonta Freeman. Like, I think they should 100% sign Devonta Freeman. I don't want Wayne Gallman. He's not a bruising kind of guy. We know Freeman's a good guy, a good running back. Sign him to a 1-year deal. Let him compete. Make this team a little bit better, and at least show us that like they can compete without Saquon Barkley and like show they're not relying completely on him. I just want to see this team succeed. I mean, I don't want to have to be watching Trevor Lawrence highlights on a Monday after week 2 loss. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to be doing that. That's just the reality of the situation. I'm sure people were already watching Trevor Lawrence highlights during the game because they were so pissed off. And that's a whole different discussion if the Giants end up with the first overall pick. I kind of want to talk about it later because it's interesting. It's just a theoretical. We don't know. I hope to God that they're not in that situation.
I really hope not.
But if they are, you take Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion. You walk away with a generational cornerback that is going to be a guy that can carry your team. That's how I feel personally.
All right. I don't know if I want to give my thoughts on that just yet. I feel like it's too controversial and it's too soon because, like I said, they fought hard. They fought hard yesterday, and Daniel Jones has still shown a lot of traits to be a franchise quarterback to me. But what I really want to touch on that you mentioned is the running back position, and I might have a little bit of an unpopular opinion here. I don't really think it's a necessity to sign another running back or to sign Devonta Freeman. To me, and no disrespect to Saquon Barkley at all, we're praying for him. Hope he gets a speedy recovery. But to me, I do kind of fall under the thought system that running backs don't really matter. And I think that, Saquon Barkley, as amazing as he is and as special as he is, look at the magical rookie season that he had that amounted to 5 total wins. Now, what if a quarterback had a season like that? It would have amounted to at least 9 wins, right? Like if the quarterback had an unbelievable record-breaking season, he would have won some games, but it's a running back. And the problem with the running back position is they're the one position that relies so much on so many other things.
Right.
And this was the film breakdown that I did before the season started on Saquon's 2019 season. I watched literally every single play of Saquon Barkley's, at least every rushing attempt of Saquon Barkley's 2019 season. That took me a couple weeks to do to get through that, and I charted them all down on paper to see which direction they went in. And the conclusion that I came to is Saquon Barkley is an extremely talented running back that will never be able to reach his full potential with the Giants because A, they've got a terrible offensive line that can't run block for him, and B, they've been stuck with a terrible play caller. Now, I hope that would change in 2020 with Jason Garrett, and through week 1 it looked like it hadn't. Week 2 it looked a little bit better, but just think about all the factors that goes into a running back playing well. They need a good offensive line. They need a good offensive coordinator. A lot of the times they need a good quarterback to check down, give them good throws in the passing game, make them efficient there. There's so much that they're dependent on, which is why it's so hard to build a team around the running back. I just don't think that you actually can build a team around the running back like the Giants have been. And I think that in order to maximize this offense for these next 14 weeks, I think the Giants really should devalue the running back position. They should put more on Daniel Jones. Let's push him. Let's see what he can do in these 14 games without a star running back. Because what if we are picking number 1? We need a full, analysis of Daniel Jones by the end of the season. Fair. Let's really unleash this offense for Daniel Jones. Let's be a pass-first offense. I prefer a pass-first offense. Look at the Arizona Cardinals. Look at how quickly Kyler Murray just came into this league and is already excellent because they gave him a full plate. They simplified the offense, gave a lot of wide receiver screens and all of that stuff for him to do. Yep. Get the ball out of his hands quick, but also he's an accurate quarterback when throwing downfield, so they schemed it so that when you have a shot, you take the shot and he can make the throw. Now I think that's something that the Giants should look to do is build their offense around Daniel Jones, make him the star of it. And really, I don't think that the running back position is going to be too important for the rest of the season. If you just be a pass-first team, I think you can actually get away with the playmaking weapons that we have if they're healthy, which Sterling Shepard isn't now. Evan Ingram is probably 2 games away from breaking his thumb or something. Who knows? But it's always something with him. But I don't know. I just have slightly different ideology here where I would rather invest the money not in Devontae Freeman to play running back for 14 games. I would rather invest it. Let's call Ross Cockrell again because I don't know how his
Hmm.
price could be so expensive that we didn't get that deal done. Get that freaking deal done. Corey
Yeah.
Ballantyne is not
Oh,
ready to start on the outside. He is getting burned.
no, he's
Also,
not.
Darnay Holmes hasn't even gotten a chance to play outside. Logan Ryan is still roaming around as a backup safety. I'm a little confused as to what they're doing in the secondary. Like, really. I thought I had it all mapped out before the season started. I was really confident. We had, McKinney. That was a tough blow, but we still had Peppers. We still had Jay Love, who's been playing a
Peppers
little
has been
inconsistent, but
a ghost.
Peppers has been a ghost. I did not see him make plays in yesterday's game. And now maybe that means he was doing a good job in coverage, but I expect him to make plays in run support, and I didn't see that. And Jay Love has been a little bit inconsistent. He had that interception yesterday, which was nice, and I still believe in him too. But then we signed Logan Ryan, and I was like, yeah, Logan Ryan is definitely going to have a starting position on this team, right? They're paying him $7.5 million.
He played a
He's
lot of
coming off
slot
of a
over
season.
Holmes.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just confused. Like, why is he not the one starting at cornerback too? Like Corey
That's a good
Ballantyne
question.
is literally getting killed out there. Give him some
Killed.
help. Like, give the secondary some help. Put your seasoned veteran at cornerback too. Remember we talked about this on last week's episode with Matt when he was talking about the rub route with those cornerbacks, and we had
Yep, yep,
Ballantyne
yep.
and Holmes, and they didn't know how to switch on that play. If it was Logan Ryan and Bradbury, they would have made the switch and it would have been covered. That's just like the key subtle difference between having a veteran and having a rookie out there. And I just think Logan Ryan should be on the field more. And if not, if they're going to keep him in this weird safety role, let's sign another cornerback, a CB2 that can come in there and allow Corey Ballantyne to be a solid depth piece, because that to me is all that he is.
Yeah, and I want to hop into Daniel Jones and those two guys that you just mentioned, the secondary, with Ballantyne and Yadam. Okay, Jones, I have so much faith in him, and the reason I'm kind of concerned is the same reason that Josh Rosen is now sitting behind Tom Brady with the Buccaneers right now, right? Daniel Jones is a quality quarterback. He can be a very, very effective quarterback in the NFL. But he's had a string of bad luck with the Giants, man. Saquon going down, one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Sterling Shepard's down again. Last year, he basically had John Hilliman at running back against the best defense in the league in the Patriots.
Mm.
When is it going to come together for him that he's going to have his weapons? He's going to be ready to finally excel and take steps forward. But the biggest concern to me was that even when he had his full weapons yesterday and the offensive line was doing decent in pass pro and run blocking in the beginning of the game, he threw an interception. He fumbled the ball. He double clutched. He looked scared and nervous, had terrible pocket awareness. Like, he didn't look like a good quarterback in any sense. He made a few decent throws, but in the pocket, I don't trust him. Not one bit. And the reason for that is the same reason that Eli Manning wasted the last 5 years of his career, because the offensive line was so bad and he got hit so many times that he was never looking downfield and moving through his progressions adequately. He was always scared of getting hit or getting blindsided, by Khalil Mack coming off the left side on your rookie left tackle. He doesn't look like he's comfortable in the pocket at all. And he does make some awesome throws. He makes some running plays. And I think Daniel Jones has the qualities and tangible traits to be a good quarterback in the NFL. But the reality is that the Giants haven't done him any favors. And they're quickly going to ruin him if they put too much on his back with no support. And so when you say, you're on the boat that they should put a full plate on Daniel Jones, I agree with you in that sense. But I'm also scared it's going to ruin him. That's where I'm worried. I don't know if he comes out of this a better quarterback, because he's going to be absolutely tortured. And moving on to the secondary, Ballantyne should not even be on a starting NFL roster. Let's get that straight right now. On that, I know there was the one touchdown he allowed, and Chicago basically gave Trubisky like 6 seconds in the pocket with Nate Ebner rushing on a delayed blitz, which was an absolute joke of a play by Patrick Graham. That was one of the worst defensive calls in the red zone I've ever seen. But Ballantyne was like tripping over himself, falling on the ground, trying to catch up to the wide receiver. Like, the technique has to be there. Like, there has to be some sort of technique that, that he's not on the ground by the time the ball gets to him. You know what I mean? Like, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And then you have Isaac Yadam, who really got lucky as hell because Anthony Miller dropped that touchdown pass. If he
I think the
catches that
coverage
touchdown
there was
pass,
pretty good though. The coverage
it
was
wasn't
good.
though. It
It
wasn't
was
that
a
good. He
it
had
was
a
a
two-year
dime.
step ahead of him.
I
It
thought
was a
it.
dime. It was a dime. But think about it. If Anthony Miller catches that pass, Isaac Yadom and Corey Ballantyne we're talking about them in the same boat right now. He drops
Right.
that pass, and now we're focusing on Ballantyne and not Yadom. Both of them are liabilities. We just traded for the guy 2 weeks ago because Denver didn't even want him.
Yeah. I mean,
You
he was
know,
about to be cut, and we traded for him. He shouldn't be
he's
starting.
starting. He's
Yeah.
starting now. That's the concern to me. Like now we're starting a guy who was about to be cut. We traded a 7th-round conditional pick for him.
Hmm.
That is not how you win games in the NFL. Let me remind you. However, if not for James Bradbury, the absolute stud in both weeks for us, he's been awesome.
Yeah,
He
has.
tipped the pass that Julian Love intercepted, and he stripped away that other interception from Allen Robinson, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. James
That was
Bradbury
an
has been our
impressive play.
all-star player. He is playing at a Pro Bowl level right now, and
Mhm.
that is something we're not used to on defense. To have a player that makes plays like that. George Jenkins did it every once in a while, but he would also disappear. James Bradbury is playing like we paid him to play. Like that. That is very exciting to me. Now, there's a lot of ways to go for this defense. Xavier McKinney, losing him for the season was massive. I expect next year we'll take a big jump. But again, I've been saying that for 3 freaking years. When are we actually going to see the jump? That's my biggest concern. What do you think? Do you think this team, they will progress as the season goes, but it looks like with the injuries that things are only getting more difficult?
Well, quickly, I want to touch on what you said about Daniel Jones a little while ago. With the full plate, you don't want to ruin him. And I think the full plate, it will either ruin him or it will make him better and it'll prove that he is a franchise quarterback. And that's kind of my thing. It's either he crashes and burns or he flies sky high. That's what you do. It's one of two ways when you give him the full plate. Right now, I think the
Right.
Giants they've been a little conservative with him. They don't want to just unleash the offense into him. And I don't know, because they're protecting him. Like you said, you want to protect him, and I get that because he's a young quarterback. But I think in the NFL now, things are so different. You got to find out as soon as possible whether or not he's the guy. And I think the Giants
I
need to
agree.
know by the end of the season whether or not Daniel Jones is the guy, because you don't want to go into year 3 still having question marks, and then those question marks, you get the wrong answers for them, and maybe you had a chance to get a different quarterback in that draft and you didn't, and now you're just stuck building around the quarterback that you don't believe is a long-term answer. I, at this point, do believe Daniel Jones is a long-term answer. I just need to see more, and I hope that
Mm-hmm.
over these next 14 weeks, I do see more. Obviously, he's got to stay healthy. He's got to play better, and he's got to win some games. He needs to win some games. Like, that is the main
He
thing.
does.
His record as a starter is abysmal. He needs to start winning games, and I understand a lot of that is due to other factors. Bad defense. I mean, the defense has been pretty good this week, but last season, bad defense, injured playmakers, whatever. But at some point, the quarterback has to rise above and carry us to a couple of victories. That's what I got to see
Right.
from him.
That's his job.
So with preserving him, protecting him, I don't think it's the same thing as Josh Rosen, because the thing with Josh Rosen is he, in I think his second year of college, got a new offensive coordinator, had to learn a new playbook, and then he goes to the NFL, has to learn 2 playbooks in one season because his offensive coordinator got fired midway through the season, and then he went to Miami and had to learn a new playbook. Now he's in Tampa learning another one. That is really tough to just never have any continuity. Daniel Jones, at least we have some continuity with him. We've got the same left guard. He knows his center, even though he used to play a different position. He knows his right guard, and he's still got Sterling Shepard. He's always had a good connection with him, even though he's hurt now. Golden Tate, he's got a good connection with him. So at least there's some continuity around Daniel Jones, which is why I think it's time for him to just start to take over. He should really start to show improvement over these next few weeks, and I think he has. You mentioned you're scared when he's in the pocket, and me too. Anytime I would see Khalil Mack come off the edge and start to pressure, I would go and hold my breath
Yep.
and get scared,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'm really scared that Daniel Jones is going to fumble the ball, and he did once, which it happens. It's Khalil Mack. He's going to make even the best of the best fumble, right? He'll make Aaron Rodgers fumble, but at the same time, it's just with Daniel Jones, I definitely have seen improved pocket presence. He'll look back every now and then run, rather than just taking off and getting hit from his blind side. So I'm definitely seeing improvement. It's just we need more. We need more and more every week. The accuracy needs to be everything. We need more. I just want to see more from Daniel Jones. especially, like I said, by the end of the season, I want to know for sure whether or not he's a franchise quarterback. Right now, I don't know that, but by the end of the season, I really, really need to know that because if he's not, like you said earlier, then we start to have that Trevor Lawrence discussion, depending on where this team is. But if we end up with the number one overall pick, because I saw somebody on Twitter say this, you might know who I'm talking about. Somebody on Twitter said that if they have the number one pick, there's no way that they're taking Trevor Lawrence regardless of anything because they believe in Daniel Jones as a franchise quarterback. And it's like, okay, if we have the number one overall pick, we're likely losing at least 14 games this year, and Daniel Jones is likely playing a really, really bad season. If Daniel Jones plays well...
Let me slide this in. Let me slide this in really quickly.
Go ahead.
If we have the number one overall pick, Dave Gettleman is not here anymore.
He's not here.
Let's get that straight. And the next general manager that we hire is starting fresh with his team.
Exactly. Next general manager might want to pick his own quarterback because this was a Gettleman pick. Daniel Jones was a Gettleman pick. If we have the number one overall pick, Daniel Jones has to play really badly for us to get the number one overall pick.
Really bad.
If he starts playing well, we'll start winning some games, and he is playing well. But if he starts playing really good, whatever. If he proves himself as a franchise quarterback, that's one thing. But if we have the number one overall pick, and honestly, I don't even think that's the requirement, the number one overall pick. I think if the Giants lose more than, let's say, 12 games, if we go 4-12 again, I think Dave Gettleman's done. I think he's honestly the writings on the wall.
He's
walking
probably
on
gone
ice
regardless.
Right now. Yeah, it's very, very thin ice, like very thin.
He barely kept his job last year. We know that. We know he barely hung on. Yeah, he was on the hot seat. He barely hung on. And let me tell you right now, if Daniel Jones doesn't pick it up, and here's something that needs to be realized, okay? Daniel Jones can play a good game, but if he turns the ball over 2 times and the other team scores because of that, it's over. Like he just negates everything that he's done. You know what I mean? Like all of the success that he's had in the game, making good passes, running the football, picking up first downs. He throws an interception and fumbles it, and they turn those 2 possessions into touchdowns the other way. You lose because of that. That's not what good quarterbacks. That's not what winning quarterbacks do. Like you have to factor that into his overall play. He's already lost four turnovers this year. Mm-hmm. He fumbled once against the Steelers. It wasn't called a fumble. It was called an incomplete pass. But he did
it was a fumble,
interception. It was a fumble, and he did an interception and a fumble yesterday. Like that issue is not going away. And okay, I will give him this though. The offensive line has played like absolute duty, and we have a left tackle that's a rookie, and Andrew Thomas playing against Khalil Mack. That's always going to be tough. And Andrew Thomas had some good reps, mind you. He had some good reps. You're going to get beat eventually by a guy like that, no matter how good you are at left tackle or right tackle. It's just going to happen. And then you have to factor in they have Cam Fleming on the other side, who's a career average player, and then Nick Gates and Will Hernandez, who both have been playing pretty poorly. However, I did see the offensive line step it up yesterday. I thought they actually did play decently across the board. It really just came down to the injuries and the defense allowing just crazy amount of points in the first half. And then they shut it down. The offense couldn't get it going. And they had the opportunities. They made a few good drives down the field that just didn't result in anything. So I think this team is going somewhere. I think we're going to see progress. I don't think we're going to win many games. But then you also have to factor in like San Francisco. Jimmy G might not be playing next week. Nick Bosa's out. Raheem Mostert's out. That's a winnable game next week. If we don't win against Nick Mullins-led San Francisco 49ers, then we got to have a bigger talk about where this team is headed.
This next week is crucial. Last week, going into week 3, it was crucial because this was Daniel Jones' first start. It was in week 3 last year. We were on the road in Tampa, and it was crucial, and he rose to the occasion, and they won the game. This is crucial because we are about to play an injury-depleted team that is demoralized right now. They just lost Kittle, Bosa, Garoppolo, Mostert, and I think there's even like another couple of players who were just banged up a little bit.
I know Brandon Ayuki was also out for week 1. I don't know what he's doing now. But their team's shredded right now.
Injury-depleted team. The Giants should win that game. They really, on paper, should win that game. And I understand Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and he's an absolute genius with the way that he schemes together games. But at the same time, last time the Giants played Nick Mullins and the 49ers a couple of years ago, we won that. We should win that again. Like, there is no excuse if we lose this game. This is, like I said, injury-depleted team. But you know what? If we do lose this game, then those
We have to have a
number one
talk.
pick talks are going to really start to ram up. And it sucks, man. I hate going on Twitter, seeing so much negativity. It's been so painful. There's a lot of people that are talking about next year's draft already. I hate seeing that in the
It's
second
me
week of
too.
the
I know.
season. It is
Ugh.
really depressing. But you know what, man? I think week
We're used
3,
to it
this is
though.
it. We're
We're
used to
used
it,
to
and
it.
I hate being used to it. I just hate seeing it happen. But you know what? Week 3, that is where it needs to. If we don't win this
It needs to
game,
change.
it needs to change in week 3. The Giants absolutely have to see some improvement and win at home against an injury-riddled 49ers team. There's just no excuse if they lose that game.
Right. And now let me throw another thing into the pile of dog crap that we've been talking about. So look at the NFC East right now. The Cowboys managed to make a comeback yesterday, but they did not look like a good team. They didn't look like a team that can win in the playoffs. And we know Washington is going to struggle. They lost as well, and the Eagles lost. The Giants are only in second place in the NFC East, which is kind of crazy to think about. But with that being said, everybody in the NFC East, 3 of the 4 teams have new coaches and new players. Not too many, but you're looking at Washington, they have Ron Rivera. Then you have Mike McCarthy in Dallas and Joe Judge on the Giants. And all 3 have struggled to open the season. So it's not a weird trend to say that having a new personnel group, new coaching staff, new players, it's not an easy transition. It's not going to be as simple as most want it to be. It's going to take time. Now, you fast forward to next year, we have Xavier McKinney back, you have Saquon back, you have a bunch of guys back. They have 1 year in the scheme. You're looking like a better team. You have some continuity, but right now everything's so new, we don't even know what to expect on a weekly basis. That's the problem, is that there's no continuity, there's no chemistry. It's all just being changes. Like, well, how do we supplement this? How do we supplement that? Matt Peart might be starting at right tackle next year. We don't know. They might have a whole new secondary, at least at CB2. And another linebacker. Let's see what happens with Jabril Peppers if he steps up this year. There's a lot of changes that will be made. But I think we have a decent foundation to build off of, and that's really all we were asking for. We've been saying it all along. This was going to be a tough season. We were never going to be a playoff team this season. We just wanted to see growth. We just wanted to see fight. And I will say this, I've seen fight these past 2 games. Against the Steelers, we fought. They have an elite defense. They crushed whoever they played this week, I'm pretty sure. Let me check.
They definitely won. I think it was a close game. It was definitely a close game.
They won. They beat the Denver Broncos 26-21. But Denver has a better defense than we do, and their offense did better against Denver than they did against the Giants. So that's a pretty good sign. The reality is like the Giants really stepped it up against the Bears in the second half. They fought. They did not let their coach down. And that's what Judge said after the game. He's like, I was proud of the way that they responded. It really showed what type of team we were. And that brings me to the last play of the game, which I know you want to talk about.
Yeah, but I also want to say I'm a little bit sick and tired of hearing they fought hard. At some point,
we didn't fight.
I want to hear. I want to hear we won hard. I want to hear we won a hard game. We fought hard. Yeah, we did. We did fight hard, and I'm proud of the way that they fought. But soon enough, I can't keep hearing we fought hard every single week. I need to hear we won a hard-fought game. That's the difference.
Right.
But yeah, let's talk about the last play of the game, before we wrap up. That game, there was a couple moments where the referees made bad calls, right? And I'm not the type of guy to make excuses. I don't think there is an excuse. The Giants should have won that game. They were in it. They had multiple opportunities. Giants should have won that football game, and the refs are not an excuse. Now, before we talk about that last play, I need to talk about a play that happened, I think, 3 or 4 plays beforehand. The Giants threw the ball. I think it was 4th down. Daniel Jones completes a pass over the middle to convert the 4th down, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're trying to get up to the line of scrimmage to spike the ball. And I think it's Kyle Fuller. Some Bears player just runs by and runs right into the referee and knocks the ball out of his hands. It took at least 4 seconds off of the clock. That should be a delay of game. That is not legal, but instead the ref just runs around, picks the ball back up, and puts it down. I'm like, okay, well, Nick Gates and everybody was already standing there ready to snap the ball, and the ref is chasing the ball because Kyle Fuller just knocked it out of his hands. That's not legal. So that pissed me off. I freaked out over that. And then, of course, the last play of the game, Golden Tate, maybe he pushed off. Maybe it was some theatrics. He pushed off, whatever. Fine. That's a good call. But the safety, I think it was Eddie Jackson, clearly got there before the ball did and went right through the back of Golden Tate. Now, that's pass interference. That should be a replay of the down. There should be one untimed play, 0 seconds on the clock. You get one play to throw it into the end zone. And I understand the odds of actually scoring on that untimed play are really, really slim. Like the Giants probably were losing that game even if they made the right call. But still, I would have liked to see that call happen because I believe that Daniel Jones has the clutch gene. And I just think it's an overall thing where the Giants have just been very unlucky recently. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. It's going to continue. We are just getting hit with bad luck, and like I said, no excuse. They should have won the game. They had opportunities all throughout the game to score, and they blew them. They squandered them. But at the end of the game, it just, you don't want to see the refs take the game into their hands and end it prematurely, which is, I think, what they did yesterday.
Right. Talking of bad luck, remember the offensive lineman on the Bears who caught a 4th down conversion?
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. I cannot believe that happened. Only to the Giants
crazy.
would that happen.
Only to the Giants. Literally, like, amazing coverage, right? Fantastic coverage. Mitch Trubisky, calls up his little devil on his shoulder, and he's like, let's throw this into double coverage. And he does it, and ball goes flying into the arms of literally a standing Chicago Bear. Like, just like chilling. He's like, yeah, well, 4th and 2, we're done here. Time for the defense to step up, and this ball just goes ricocheting, flying into his arms, and he just falls forward for 2 yards because he's like 7 feet tall. Like, you've got to be kidding me that the Giants are that unlucky to have that play. That play right there might have lost on the game, right? That play
it did.
Right there.
I think it did.
Ugh.
Man, I really still just can't believe that happened. That wouldn't even happen in Madden. All the bullshit that happens in Madden. If you throw the ball and it ricochets, the lineman still isn't going to catch it and go for a first down.
What do I complain to EA about this?
I need to write a letter to EA Sports. How the fuck did this offensive lineman catch this pass?
Yeah,
but it was real life, so I can't.
EA,
Unbelievable.
Or just like the NFL. I'm gonna letter that letter to the NFL and be like, you know what? I'm not watching if this bullshit happens anymore. Like, this kind of stuff is not. This shouldn't happen. This isn't a
fix
video
your game. Patch the game. We need a title update.
Patch the game. Yeah, we need something different. But damn, here we are.
It sucked.
Week 2, another 0-2 start. 4 seasons in a row. 4 seasons in a row. I'm tired of it. Ever since we've started covering this team, they've sucked, and it's not my fault. I'm not taking responsibility for that.
All I know is pain.
Yeah, pain. Like, dude, honestly, and everyone listening right now, I've gotten really good at like dealing with depression and pain every Sunday. Like, I know how to deal with it now. I'll never have to worry about it again. When we're winning, I'm scared for the type of person I'm going to become. I don't even know that person yet.
I can't wait to be winning again. Really, I can't.
I was too young for the Super Bowls. I remember them, and I remember like really enjoying them, but I wasn't 24 years old and like very cognizant of like the game of football and like winning and that emotional feeling as an adult. I didn't get to experience that, and it feels like we never will at this point. So please, and I've been resorting to the football gods because I have no other way to get this team to perform better. Like, literally, like, why do I have to rely on the football gods? It should just be a New York team just should play well. That's just the way that things go. I mean, every team in New York's kind of sucked the past couple of years. So I have no words, guys. I have no words for this team. I think we're making progress, but it's slow and steady. It's like reading a tortoise in the hare over and over again for 4 years. What are you going to do?
There's not much you can do. We just got to keep hoping for the best, man. Drawing the positives that we can, whether there's a lot of them or not. I feel like there was a lot last week, not as many this week. But there are some positives to draw. They did fight hard. We got to give them that. The defense played a really phenomenal game. The defense played a phenomenal game. But at the end of the day, we need to start winning games. And then I'll be happy once we start winning games.
I agree. Anyway, that's it for Empire Sports Media's Fireside Giants from Alex and Anthony. I hope you enjoyed this episode and our kind of therapy lesson that we've kind of given to each other. I hope you've found some solace in this conversation, and hopefully this Giants team pulls it together. Daniel Jones takes advantage of the reliance on him now, because it's really up to him to make what is left of this season a positive part of his future. There's a lot to do, a lot of work to be done, but I think Joe Judge is the guy for us. I I really just want to see some success, man. Like, I'd rather win a few games than have the number one overall pick and a top 5 pick for the third time or the second time in a row. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, guys. And I know you guys are too. So I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. You find some way to gain a little bit more happiness after the tough loss on Sunday. And we look forward to an injury-riddled 49ers team. And if they lose next week, then we're going to have something to talk about. But for now, let's stay positive, guys. And we'll catch you guys next time.